Hello, and welcome back to another episode of International Immersion, a podcast where we seek to capture various people, culture, places, events, and all the aspects that make this world such a wonderful place. For this episode, this is going to contain the Q&A session of the Mountain Sing book discussion. So I hope you enjoy it and get a lot of insight out of the questions that the viewers of this event put forward. So that leads into our next part of the event tonight, and that's going to be our Q&A session. So during this session, we're inviting people who would like to direct questions directly. You can we have three options. The first part will be you can unmute yourself, and we can turn your cameras off or on as well, and you can ask direct questions. And then we're going to have people who maybe want to write their questions in the chat. We'll be reading those out for her to answer. And then lastly, we have a preset of questions that have already been submitted that we'll be asking as well. So during this time, you can do a couple things. You can raise the thumbs up icon, or you can simply unmute yourself and state your question. And then if you want to post your question in the chat, just post a question along with your name so we can tie each question to the person.
Actually, we are in a small group, so I would love for you to, if you want, to turn on your video so we can see each other, because I feel like I'm in a family here, so surrounded by the people who love me and love the book. Oh, I just become so emotional to see some of your faces. I see Emmy here. Emmy Lê is my wonderful friend and Vietnamese sister who wrote the book Snow in Seattle, Snow in Vietnam, and she's been supporting my work since the beginning. Seen so many people here. Thank you so much for joining me. Ask your question directly. I love to. I should have gone on a great book tour and meet you and hug you, but because of this pandemic, we are stuck in our home, but I'm so grateful to see you today. Anyone wants to ask the question, just unmute yourself.
I have a question. Since you mentioned the Agent Orange and some other sort of things that have continued from the war, we had a speaker on our campus at University of Missouri, I think a week or two ago, talking about the War Legacies Project, which is still trying to find, bombs and bomblets that are buried in the ground and people that are suffering from Agent Orange effects. And I wondered if you are aware of what they are doing and how is that project going?
So actually, there are quite a few projects going on in Vietnam. So in terms of, I think there are a few areas that that have to be dealt with. So in terms of Agent Orange, there need to be a lot more work to be done on, like removing the residue of Agent Orange. For example, there are many locations in Vietnam that will use as storage facilities for Agent Orange. So, like the pollution that seeped into the ground is tremendous. So that there's a project from the American government to clean it, and it has been going okay. But I think this should be done. And there is currently a court case of an association in Vietnam who has been suing American companies who produce Agent Orange, because these companies said like this chemical was harmless, so that's why they were sprayed everywhere in Vietnam. And veterans, American veterans who fought in the war have been compensated, but Vietnamese victims have received nothing. So so this needs to be done. One area is also to work in the area of removing unexploded ordinances.
Mm-hmm.
So I know organizations who work in that area, and I know the organization called Veterans for Peace. They have a chapter in Vietnam, and with Americans involved with Vietnamese, in detecting these unexploded ordinances and removing them. But one other area which I would really need want to see support is the area of psychological support. There has been a lot of research on PTSD and trauma in the US. I read a lot of this research, and I interview people and document the impact of PTSD and trauma on people. But in Vietnam, I only found a small research that involves, a small number of the population. And, so many people in Vietnam are traumatized. And culturally, if we're traumatized, people say that we are possessed by ghosts. So I know people who have put into mental institutions and treated like animals because they are traumatized. There are friends of mine who fought in the war who are highly traumatized. I have a friend who cannot sleep with a ceiling fan because when he saw the ceiling fan, he would this is the American helicopters chasing me and shooting me down. So, I would love to have more help in research in PTSD, trauma, psychologists who help with victims of the Vietnam War, because there's still so much to be done in that area. I hope I answered your question.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hi, chị Quế Mai. Can you hear me?
Hi, Hai Chiều. I want to tell you about Hai Chiều because she just started. Hai Chiều, can you paste into the chat Hai Chiều just invited me to be a judge of her essay contest to increase awareness for mental awareness for mental health. So this essay contest will highlight the stories within Vietnamese American community and what we can do to help each other overcome mental health issues. So if Hai Chiều can later paste your link into the chat group for everyone to read and to share, that would be amazing. So Hai Chiều, yes, please ask your question. Sorry.
Thank you, G, for introducing that. I think they're leading the chat. I see there's quite a few writers who just want to learn, how do you do it all? When we go to sleep, you're on social media. When we wake up in the morning in America, you're on social media. I'm thinking to myself, and I know you're on all these Zoom meetings. I'm like, does she sleep? So can you kind of walk us through your schedule? How do you find the time? Because as a mom, I'm just now sitting down in front of the computer. I've been running around all day. I can barely compose a haiku, less alone a chapter in the book. So what is your schedule like? Because you're doing this and you're doing, so how do you find that 1-2 hours just to sit down and be creative? Because I know you're writing a book now too.
I block out certain time in my day, normally, early in my morning, that I switch off social media, I switch off the internet, to be able to concentrate. And I think to write well, you need to have that moments of silence. You need to be with yourself and with your characters and not disturbed by election news or something like that. So that's a great question. I think every one of us, for our mental health, to have that kind of personal space and silence. So, I've learned throughout my writing career to be disciplined in that way, that, there are chunks of time that you just need, to be by yourself for your reading, for your writing. So I think, my UK editors, recently she wrote me, she said, oh, you never give up, you just work so hard. I said, I'm a fighter all my life. I'm not going to give up now because I want, my purpose is not to be famous or sell books. I just want Vietnamese stories to be out there because, like Vũ said in the beginning, we are seldom heard. Look at the landscape of Vietnamese literature from inside Vietnam. We are nowhere to be seen. So I want to fight for this chance to tell the story, and I'm really I don't get tired because I love interacting with people, and it is just my great privilege to be here, you know, because when I was little, I was told by my family not to become a writer. My parents said, don't you know what happened to writers in Vietnam? Don't go there. And my two brothers said, we are poor. Do something useful with your life. So I went on to study business. And, you know, I only started writing when I was 33 years old. And I had to fight so much for that chance to be a writer. So I will continue to fight every day for a chance to tell Vietnamese stories, because these need to be told. And, you know, I admire, you know, one writer whom I admire so much is Viet Nguyen. And also, you know, chị Andri Nguyen, who's here. We do not talk about work, but we promote other people. We promote, you know, Viet Nguyen said, once you have been through a door, you open the door to others. You know, we open the doors to the voices of Vietnamese people, because now I'm doing, you know, on top of this, I'm translating a lot of Vietnamese literature as well, because, you know, and like chị Andrea, she's like promoting Vietnamese culture. She's writing a lot of things, you know, about Vietnamese food, but she also, you know, worked a lot to during the election, you know. I think people like chị Andrea and Viet Nguyen changed the minds of so many Vietnamese Americans, and so that we went to vote. You went to vote. I couldn't vote. I wish I could have voted, but you know, you changed the minds of many people, and then we had a good election. You know, so we need champions in our community, and I follow the footsteps of so many amazing people out there. You know, and as a community, we have to do much more. We have to open doors to other people, and together we do it. And what I you know, I have always looked at the Chinese community around the world, and I admire them, because the Chinese are so good in helping others. They are successful in many areas because they help others. And Vietnamese, I think we are known for being divided than being united, you know. So I think we need to do much more. Thank you. I hope I answered your question. More questions, please.
Does anyone would like to ask a question? We have a few questions that typing up in the chat box.
Okay.
Here.
Okay.
Yeah, so one of the first question from Allison, Ali in Edwardsville, Illinois. Are you planning on writing another book? And if so, what type of book? Is it planning on being fiction, more poetry, nonfiction? So more to, yeah, what is your future plan?
I'm really excited about this book, because this book also kept me sleepless. So I spent 5 years working on my second novel as part of my PhD. So I graduated from the PhD, and I just, you know, I spent 5 years, and I just sent it to my agent, and her reaction is like, wow. So I hope it will be published soon. And so this novel is about, it fictionalizes the stories of 100,000 children who were born into the Vietnam War, who are children of American soldiers and Vietnamese women. You know, they call Bụi Đời in Vietnamese, the dust of life. Many of them were abandoned during the war, and I read a report that 98% of them haven't found their parents. So this book highlights many issues faced by those Amerasians who are the forgotten victims of the Vietnam War, and my character is a Black Amerasian. And if you're Vietnamese, you know how racist we are. So this book highlights the issues of racism from inside Vietnam. I mean, Vietnamese from America are racist, but Vietnamese from inside Vietnam are double racist. So, you know, we are so bad. So this book is really, I mean, it brings out some of the bad things about people, I must say. And it highlights, because it's set in modern day Vietnam as well as the war. So it's set in the south of Vietnam. So the Mountain Sing is set in the north of Vietnam, and the second book is set in the south of Vietnam. And it also documents the stories of Vietnamese women who had to become prostitutes during the war and who had to abandon their kids later. So I wanted to look into these women's stories and see the reasons why they had to become prostitutes. So I also, one of the narrators of my second novel is, guess what? A Vietnamese, no, an American man. I had so much fun writing in the voice of an American man. Let me tell you, because American men have written in the voices of Vietnamese women all the time. So I said, why not? And so I chose to write in the voice of an American man, and he's a helicopter pilot. So I had a lot of fun researching on helicopters and writing this book. And I have had riding on helicopters, but I have I'm very lucky because I have great friends who are Vietnam War veterans who worked with helicopters during the war, so who are, helping me a lot. So this project kept me sleepless, but I get so excited writing about this. So yeah, I can't wait for you to read it. So later on, I will share my newsletter, and through that newsletter, you can keep updated with this news.
Right.
So one person asked me how many outside I have. Also, I have to stand up and show you my outside. So this outside is actually a personal design of my friend, who's a great artist in Vietnam, because she loves outside. So when I went back to Vietnam, she said, "Let me design one for you." So she took me to Dong Xuan Market. If you go, I type the Dong Xuan Market. So if you go to Hanoi, you have to go to Dong Xuan Market. It's the best wholesale market, and you buy so many types of clothing, traditional Vietnamese. So she took me there. She designed this, and we bought material, and she took me to the tailor. So I have around 20 outside, but I wear this because I love these flowers. But so my husband called this Superman suit. So before I have an event, he said, "Do you want your help? Do you want my help with your Superman suit? Because this, you cannot put it on yourself. It's difficult because it has so many buttons." So he said, "Superman suit." Yes. So somebody else asked, Vũ, what's your suggestion for women who work full-time and want to write? That's a great question. And I see stories from all of you. So if you want to be a writer, go for it. You can write the stories that only you can tell. So for women, maybe I want to ask Miss Andre Nguyen to share. Okay, she's a very famous author. What's your suggestion of women who work full-time and want to write?
Oh, Gui Mai, my God. So I just want to say that you are so impressive. This is my second time of watching you as an author. I want you all to know that she was in California a couple of years ago before her book came out, and she was a resident writer, a fellow. And I came to see her speak, and I was so impressed. I kept waiting and waiting for that damn book to come out. And finally it arrived, so I had to get a copy. Not just because it was so well received by the New York Times, but many others, but I was just so proud. And my family, my mother is from Northern Vietnam, and I got her a copy, and she was incredibly impressed. My mother is 86 years old. And so many of the things that are said in the book are not said elsewhere. And Vietnamese women are the backbone of so many households, and the fact that you're a parent or you're a career woman does not mean that you cannot do a lot of things that you want to do. Sometimes I think traditional women feel like they have to hold back because they have to play the role of a traditional woman, but someone of Gui Mai's generation, I'm 51. A lot of you are younger than I am. You don't have to go by the same playbook. And it doesn't matter where you live. You can be in Vietnam, you can be in America. You can pursue a lot of different goals. And it can be a little overwhelming at times, but you can do it and you can support other people. And I do, fuck those men. I'm sorry to use bad language, but really, I have had the worst problems with old Vietnamese men going after me by saying, "Không đúng, không đúng." And I'm just like, screw you.
Not right.
Right, not right. And I'm just like, who are you? You never even set foot in a kitchen. You just eat. Similarly, all the research that Gui Mai has gone through to put this book together, it's like friggin' phenomenal. As my mother said, how did she get all of those interviews? How did she get people to tell those stories and not be afraid of retribution? But if you want to be a writer, shoot, you can do it. You can write a little newsletter. You can blog. Instagram is writing. You're learning to give a hook. And if you want to be a professional writer, then you can just pitch, be patient, and just keep on writing, practice every day. Thank you. I'm going to mute myself now.
Oh, wow, this is the greatest advice. I couldn't have answered better. Thank you so much. F those men. I never say the F word before in public, but I'm saying it now. Thank you. Oh, I did not know that chị Andrea met me in the San Jose Museum, right? San Jose Arts Museum. Wow, I did not know. I had no idea. Thank you so much. Yeah, chị Andrea already said so many great things. I mean, women or men, we all have our duties in life. But I think if you want to pursue your creative interest, make space for it. Because in the end, that's your personal happiness. We write to meet our duty, but I think for joy, the joy of sharing the stories with others. So I don't know about you, but for me, if I don't do creative things, I feel empty. I feel as if I haven't eaten or drunken. For me, writing books, literature, storytelling is as important as food and air. So if you practice it every day, it will become a part of your life and it's essential for your being. So if you want to be a writer, go for it and fight for your space. And everyone faces rejections. And if people reject you, it's normal. My manuscript was rejected by many people. So keep fighting, never give up. Yes. Thank you so much, chị Andrea. You're great. Oh, are you planning? Okay. Any other question?
Chị Mai, I have a really quick question. I know we're maybe wrapping up soon. I noticed that you move very seamlessly between Vietnamese and English, even when you use like proverbs and idioms. I just wonder like how you do that. Does it come with a lot of practice? Because I'm trying to write in Vietnamese now after having lived in the US for a while, and I'm using Google Translate because I can't remember what the words are in Vietnamese because I haven't used it in writing in so long.
I want to salute you. I want to celebrate you in wanting to write in the Vietnamese language, because this is the best way of coming home, and building stronger roots to your heritage. So I think it comes with practice. Now you use don't use Google Translate because it can be wrong. Use the dictionary and and have a later on and I think the more and then you should read Vietnamese literature in Vietnamese. When you read, you know the way of expression more, you become more fluent, you become more natural. So my path of becoming a writer in English is through translation. So I wrote in Vietnamese first, and I saw that world literature didn't have voices from inside Vietnam. So I spent years translating Vietnamese literature for other readers to know. And then, naturally, and I could think in English. So I think if you come to a stage where you can think in Vietnamese and not having to use the dictionary too often, that's better. So one way is to, until today, I keep a notebook of new words that I learn each day through my reading, and I read a lot. So you should, you keep a dictionary of your own dictionary, and you read a lot and you practice it every day, and it will come naturally. And thank you. I hope you keep in touch because I want to read your writing. So, okay, thank you. Oh, I want to introduce you to Jay. Jay, can you unmute yourself?
Hi.
Jay is a brother whom I found through this book. Jay's father fought in the war, and we have been, exchanging a lot of conversations because Jay's father passed away last year, and he was highly traumatized too. And Jay, if you could share a little bit of, introduce yourself or say whatever you want to the group, please, because I want everybody to know you and what a special person you are.
Well, thanks so much for inviting me. Yeah, it's kind of overwhelming to try to put in words, but your books really touched me in very deep levels, and I'm grateful to be here. So I don't know. I put a question in the chat. I don't want to necessarily go. I mean, it could go to a really deep place, but you explained my father was in the war. He was drafted, and I noticed a couple other people in chat. It seems like they have connections also to the war between our countries. And I really appreciate your just championing everyone's need to heal from that, and so thank you very much.
Jay has a question for you that he put in the chat. I'm wondering, how does it feel different for you as a writer speaking with audience now that you have a novel published compared to when all of your published work was poetry? Thanks, Jay. That's the question that many people in this group wanted to ask. There's rarely somebody who can walk between the lines between poetry and novel writing like Chi Wei Mai. So is it like a God's gift, or I think it's a gift from God? But what do you think?
Yeah, before I answer the question, I just want to say that how moved I am to see Jay in this in our meeting today. Because my two uncles fought in the war. One uncle fought for the North Vietnamese side, and one uncle fought for the South Vietnamese side. And the uncle who fought for South Vietnam died when he was very young, and he left behind his wife who was pregnant. And my second uncle, my uncle from the North, he came home from the war, and he didn't want to share any stories with us. And I felt, I feel like I'm a child of these soldiers, So when I can reach out to a child of another veteran, it is my great honor, because it's like we have so much to discuss and help each other heal. And I'm just so privileged, Jay, that you read my book and that you are here today. I mean, the Mountain Sing is also a book of poetry. You know, because nowadays many people don't read poetry. I mean, unless you are as good as Ocean Vuong. So I cheated. I sneaked a lot of poetry into this book. I like, okay, this is my chance. So you know, the proverbs are poetry, and I use a lot of images, like even the book's title. So you know, Vietnam has such a great literary tradition. We say sách gối đầu giường, or a book that is used as a pillar for Vietnamese. Pillar, when you sleep at night, we say sách gối đầu giường, books as pillows. One of those books is Chuyện Kiều by Nguyễn Du, The Tale of Kiều by Nguyễn Du. And many Vietnamese, you know, it's from inside Vietnam, we learn it by heart. We do fortune telling with the book. We sing lullabies from the book to put children to sleep. So, you know, I grew up surrounded by poetry. So even though, you know, we were poor, but we were rich in poetry. Poetry was read to us by loudspeakers. Poetry was sang to us in the form of lullabies of our moms. So that's why I wanted to infuse poetry into this novel. So I think, you know, when I remember when I went to the US for my poetry readings. So normally poets, they just read, right? And they have questions. So I'm like, no. Normally, before I read a poem, I tell the story about a poem, and then I read it because I wanted people to know the context of the poem. So I think with the novel, I have the chance to go deeper conversations with the audience compared to my poetry. You know, and I mean, I've had so many. I think I've had about 50 different book club meetings. And you know, to be able to dive deeper into Vietnamese history, you know, through the conversations is most amazing. And I learned so much from the audience as well. It's not just me telling the stories, but, you know, from when I hear, you know, from people like Chị Andrea today, you know, I learned so much from her. And yeah, so this has been such a great learning process, and I'm learning every day. And I think with all of your love and support, I need to be a better writer. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the Times has been, this is such a great event where everybody has been so involved, and thank you, Chị Quê Mai, for all the information. I think it's probably like the time for us to wrap up. We have spent an hour and a half, very valuable moments to exchange thoughts and listen to Quê Mai about the book, The Mountain Sings. So probably we're gonna come to the wrap-up point now. Sean, do you would like to inform everyone about the second gift that Ms. Quê Mai and Algonquin book offer?
Yes, and yeah, she's been very gracious, and she's offered a discount code that has been put in the chat. So anyone who wants to buy the book, and also if a group will buy a number of books, they will actually get a custom, I think, plaque sent as well if you place a group order in. So you can find it in the chat, and it should be posted here.
Yes. So yeah, that is such a great gift. If anybody plan to buy the Mountain Sings after this, please take advantage of the 30% discount that offered by Algonquin, her publisher. And well, that is such a good night. Thank you, Chị Quê Mai, for spending your time and talking with us, and for all the people who join us in the audience tonight. We have way more to talk about this, but time is the issue. We're gonna stay here after this if whoever want to hang out. But we also know that many other people who have already left, leaving a message that they joined the event from Washington, D.C., which is there was people that having 1 or 2 hours difference than us, and it has really been late for them over midnight. So thank you everyone for joining this. And about where might there's still one thing I think the audience would really care about. Wishing your family having a holiday, and your daughter is still far away.
She will come home today. Oh, before I forget, if you don't mind, let's take a group picture because I want to, remember.
Sure, for sure.
and really also post YouTube link on Trịnh Công Sơn. Trịnh Công Sơn music is poetry. He's one of the greatest Vietnamese minds. So his songs are poetry. He's like wonderful. So I really posted a YouTube link there that I would love you to listen to Trịnh Công Sơn song. Thank you very much. Oh, and I also posted because I love to promote more Vietnamese literature. So for you to read more. Oh, Vũ, could you post the link of Read Vietnam? So on Instagram, put together a list of recommendation of titles you may want to check out. Because you've read The Mountain Sing, most of you have. Thank you. And let's take a group picture. I want to celebrate.
Yes.
This is my final event until March. So I'm really honored you are here and celebrate this with me.
Yeah, whoever is still here, please turn on your camera and Willie, please go ahead.
I posted that song because you mentioned that your 2 uncles were fighting on 2 sides of the war.
Yes.
And that's what the song is about.
Thank you. Gia tài của mẹ. Yeah.
That's a beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yes.
Yeah, so just like a gift and a thank you and goodbye to everyone. If you can turn on your camera, we would love to have photos of you so that Quê Mai can keep as a beautiful memory and give to her for the holiday, as well to everyone as well. We had such a wonderful time. So there was still a few people in the audience tonight haven't got their questions sent to you, Ms. Quê Mai. I think I'm gonna send out the questions that haven't been posted and those that leave an email on that to Quê Mai so that you maybe connect you guys so you can ask the question later and chat more. But thank you. We're gonna do a group photo. So if everybody, I'm gonna count on 3 and you give a big smile and we can capture this moment. Then that's gonna be 1, 2, 3. Yep, I think I had it. If I don't, feel free to kill me for that. But thank you so much, everyone.
Oh, I'm so happy. And we survived this year. Yeah, we survived 2020. So I wish you and your family a joyful, healthy, peaceful new year of 2021. And I hope to see you in person. And there will be no virus, so I can hug you all. I miss hugging people. Yes, so please stay well and keep pursuing your passion and celebrating life. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and good night to those who are in the US, and good afternoon. Have a good day for people in Asia.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say, I appreciate everyone coming tonight, and I'm really glad we were able to do this collaborative event tonight. And this event will be posted on my podcast, International Immersion. And I'm also I'm honored to have this along with, and the premise of my podcast, as I was talking to Ms. Kim Mai and to Vu, is having lived overseas and traveled a lot, the goal is to create a platform where people can share stories. They can learn about each other. They can learn about places. And this event tonight has just been a wonderful example of that. And it's my goal, for more and more people to be connected with the wider world around them. And at the end of the day, there's, we're all human. We all share basic things, desires, and drives. So it's my goal to continue to build that and work with wonderful people like Ms. Kimai and Ms. Andrew and other people. And I'm always looking for stories and people to interview or discuss with, because I think that in this day and age, we need, even though the world is becoming more interconnected, we still need to become much more interwoven to understand each other and realize that, and as we've, very vividly described tonight, we don't want a lot of things that have happened in the past to be repeated. And I think the best way for that is through education, exchange of ideas and traveling and learning about people all around the world. And I think if everyone, every child, every student would go overseas or travel or just spend time outside of their comfort zone, that would be a huge step in that direction.
Thank you so much, Sean and Vũ, for your great work today. I'm grateful to each and every one of you. Thank you so much. Oh, hello, Kat. There's a cat.
Yes, so we will plan to send out the podcast to everybody who registered to the event as well after this. But thank you so much, everyone. Whoever still wants to hang out with Chi Quay Mai, I think you have a tight schedule to move on after this. So please feel free to leave.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, for coming to see me. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye. Good to see you, Jay. The first time I meet you in person. Thank you for joining.
Good to see you. Thank you. Great to see everyone. Thanks for the event.
Yep.
It must be late where you are, right? What time is it now?
Where I am? 10 past 10, same as the hosts, I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
We are in St. Louis, Missouri, so it's Central Time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jay.
Yeah, thank you. I actually grew up there. I was telling Quinn, so small world.
Yeah, Sean and I were from here. Anyhow, thank you, everyone. I'm gonna officially end the meeting for here, so Quinn Mai can move on with her busy Saturday, and hope you have a good holiday after this.
Thank you so much, everyone. Stephanie, thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye to you. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Perfect event. Bye.